Hello everyone, we are from Group 2, consists of Muhammad Itfasabili, Tias Dwi Maharani, and Valensi Dosiortuna. Will present our presentation about reference and inference. There will be 5 topics that will be discussed here. They are reference and inference, referential and attributive uses, names and reference, the role of context, and lastly, anaphoric reference. So, what is reference and inference? Reference is an act in which a speaker uses referring expression to enable the addressee to identify an entity, while inference is an act of an addressee to guess which entity the speaker wants to identify through a particular referring expression. Referring expression itself can be in the form of proper nouns, such as Malibu, Anna, Lana Del Rey, Shakespeare, Taylor Swift, Katy Perry, and so on. Noun phrases such as the noun phrases itself is divided into two: definite, which is the author, the singer, the city, while the indefinite one is a man, a woman, a beautiful place, and lastly pronouns such as it, her, he, them, and so on. Referencing is a two-way process. The speaker selects an entity, then he or she selects appropriate linguistic forms, which help the addressee to infer what or which entity the speaker had in mind. In other words, we have two participants in this situation: the speaker, or the participant who does the referring, and the addressee, or the participant who does the inferring. For example, here there are two people playing guess the word game. The speaker wants to tell the addressee that the word is apple. So he chose that red fruit in Snow White's story given by the witch as his referring expression, hoping that it can help the addressee to infer the entity. When the addressee heard the referring expression, a particular entity comes into his mind, that the red fruit is an apple. Thus, he can understand what entity that is meant by the speaker. When choosing a referring expression, the speaker needs to make sure that he or she and the addressee are sharing the same knowledge, so the addressee is able to identify the entity correctly. For example, there is a conversation between Tina and Mila. Tina said, "Do you know that singer? I heard there is a news about her lately." And then Mila is confused. And then Tina add more information to it. "The one who came to our school concert last week." And then Mila realized, that one, Raisa, what happened to her? When Tina used that singer as her referring expression, Mila cannot identify the entity since it is too vague, causing a confusion in Mila's mind. Like, there are lots of female singers in Indonesia, like Isyana, and then Agnes Monica, and the Western singer as well, like Katy Perry, and then Taylor Swift, and so on. Thus, Mila is confused. And then Tina add more information to her referring expression into "the one who came to our school concert last week," so that Mila can understand which singer is Tina refers to, Raisa. However, it doesn't mean that fake expressions cannot be used as referring expressions. Expressions like "that red thing" or "that smelly thing" can be used as long as the listener have the same knowledge as the speaker. For example, there is a conversation between a mother with her son. The mother said, "Haven't I told you to take out that smelly thing this morning?" And then the son replied, "Oh no, sorry mom, I forgot. We'll do it now." Even when the mother used vague expression as her referring expression, which is "that smelly thing," her son can understand it immediately, since her mom already told him to take out the trash bag earlier in the morning. The next topic that we're going to talk about is referential and attributive uses. Referring expressions can have two uses: attributive and referential. Attributive uses means that whoever or whatever fits the descriptions. It doesn't refer to a particular entity, while referential means that it refers to a particular entity. For example, there is a news on TV talking about a murder case. So the news anchor said there were no signs from the killer up until now. If the context in the sentence is that the killer has not been found and the police is still searching for it, then it is considered as attributive use. If there is a murder case, then there must be a murderer or killer, even though we still do not know who did it. Thus, whoever did the killing fits to the description. However, if the context in the sentence is that there is a killer who managed to escape from a jail, then it is a referential use, since the entity is specific. The presenter already knows the identity of the killer who escaped from the jail. Another example. So, someone said, I live with tan-skinned man. Look at the picture. If the speaker loves any man who has tan skin in general, then it is attributive use. Again, attributive use means that whoever fits the description. So, any man who has tan skin, the speaker loves it. That's attributive use. However, if the speaker already has someone, a particular man who has tan skin in mind, and perhaps would like to tell her story about this man, then it is referential use. It refers to a particular entity.
Name and reference. Convention between all members of a community who share a common language or culture which needs collaboration of intention to identify and recognition of intention is this process of speaker and listener to have collaboration work. There is a convention that certain referring expression will be used to identify certain entities. The successful operation of this convention is depending on our daily experience that cause us to assume that referring expression can only designate very specific entities. The assumption may lead us to think a name or proper noun, but the assumption is also depending on context with whom we speak and also the situation and condition. The first example is the word Shakespeare, which said by student to his or her friend. A. Can I borrow your Shakespeare? B. Yeah, it's over there on the table. In that context, Shakespeare not referred to a person, but probably a book Shakespeare. Please notice the pronoun of it. This example shows us if there is a conventional or and potentially culture-specific set of entities that can be identified by the use of a writer's name. More examples which assume that Shakespeare is thing the writer produced are Shakespeare takes up the whole bottom shelf. It means that the book that written by Shakespeare is fill the bottom of shelf. The second example is I hated Shakespeare at school. It means that the book which written by Shakespeare is hated by that person if he or she asked to read the book. The second example, the phrase the cheese sandwich, which said by the waiter in a restaurant. A. Where is the cheese sandwich sitting? B. He is over there by the window. In that context, the cheese sandwich not refer to thing which is a food, but refers to a person who ordered a cheese sandwich. Please notice the pronoun of he. From the example above, there appears to be a pragmatic connection between proper noun and objects that will be conventionally associated within a socioculturally defined community with those names. The next is the role of context. The ability to identify intended reference depends on, first, the listener's understanding of the referring expression. And the second one is aided by the linguistic material or context which accompanying the referring expression. It is the example of context. Brazil wins World Cup. And that sentence, win World Cup limits the range of possible interpretation of the listeners. The referring expression provides a range of reference or a number of possible reference. And another example is the first one, the cheese sandwich is made with white bread. In the sentence, the cheese sandwich refers to food which made from white bread. And the second one is the cheese sandwich left without paying. In the sentence, the cheese sandwich refers to a person which ordered a cheese sandwich but he didn't pay that food. Context and context. Context is linguistic part of the environment in which a referring expression is used. The example of context is in previous slide. And the context is physical environment and speech convention. The example of context, the first one is the heart attack mustn't be moved. Usually the sentence is used in the context at the hospital. The second one is a couple of rooms have complained about the heat. The sentence is used in the context at the hotel.
Anaphoric reference simply refers to something in a non-specific way. For example, my mother is the purest thing in the world. She loves me the way I am. As we can see here, mother and she is equivalent. Both words share the same ideas or share the same meanings. Okay, before we continue our topic, you may have heard about cataphora and ellipsis or zero anaphora. The difference between those three are simple. Anaphora refers something forward while cataphora refers something backwards. And ellipsis means of maintaining speaker intention that clearly refers to something we all understand. Here's the examples. I ran to my father when he came home and my pinky hit something hard. To this day, I still wondering who put the freaking bowling ball in there. Okay, as written up here, we cannot fully understand what something is before mentioned in second sentence, which finally we got the answer, because it refers backwards. That was cataphora. So what about zero anaphora or ellipsis? Here's the example. I go to church every Sunday and he never. Okay, based on the sentence, there is no evidence showing he never what, but we know he never goes to church. It is called ellipsis or zero anaphora. We don't need evidence and we can easily understand what is the speaker intention. You may wondering why do we use anaphor reference? Besides avoiding repetition, which makes our text or speech boring, we have to keep track of who or what we are talking about, considering we cannot finish one idea in only a sentence.